We are just getting back to the office from last week's Industrial Marketing Summit, which was held here in Austin, Texas. We had over 300 marketers that work in engineering and manufacturing all come together for workshops and keynotes and dual track of sessions and expos and parties. And it was a great time. And so with today's episode, I wanted to give you a little insight into some of the key themes and takeaways, an insider's look into what it was like to be at that event, and then how you can get your hands on the material if you weren't able to make it this year through a digital pass. Let's do this.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full-service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now, on with our podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Lee Chapman, True Marketing President, and together we are going to just do a big debrief over last week's Industrial Marketing Summit. So welcome to the show once again, Lee.
Thank you. Glad to be here. And we had quite the week last week, didn't we? And then we had the time change this past weekend. So we're shaking off some cobwebs this morning, but so excited to talk about all the energy and takeaways from IMS last week.
Yes. Yeah. That was funny timing for the time change for
It
sure.
was. I don't think we realized that, but it's all good.
No, not at all. Well, good. Well, I thought with today, I wanted to recap some of just our big takeaways. Also, maybe give people a behind the scenes look at just what it's like to put on an event like this now that we have 3 years under our belt. So, man, Lee, okay, so what I did is I grabbed some quotes from LinkedIn, and I know you have some quotes from actual sessions. So I think this will be fun. Like we'll just talk about what was heard and what was taken away that was heard and stuff like that.
Sounds
okay.
Great.
So I'll start and then I want your reaction. This is so fun.
Okay.
We haven't seen any of these. This will be great. Okay. IMS is the one event where I don't have to explain why marketing industrial products is different. Everyone in the room just gets it.
Yeah. And that's by far when people are coming out of sessions, the smile on their face, and I'll say hi to people and they'll grab me and they'll be like, these are my people. So I met someone at Content Marketing World back in October, and she works for a small aluminum manufacturing company in Illinois. And luckily somebody donated a ticket and said, hey, is there somebody you know who might want to come to Industrial Marketing Summit that wouldn't normally come, which I love. Let's bring more people from the community that maybe wouldn't come. And she was able to come and she was like, I'm sure this will be great. And she was like, Content Marketing World is fantastic. IMS is my people. Like you just said, everybody gets how, marketing's a little bit different in this space, and having these speakers and these examples, it's just really unique.
Yeah. And behind the scenes to that end, our teammate Casey was what we called the presenter and sponsor concierge. And she, with your help, looked through every single presentation to make sure it had relevant, practical examples from this industry. So a lot of just blood, sweat, and tears went into it to make sure that it resonated with this group.
Yeah, shout out to Casey. She went above and beyond. And I had speakers and sponsors stopping me and making sure to call out Casey because she poured over those presentations. And everybody, if you're a speaker and you go to these conferences, you have usually a pretty set presentation that you give, and you update it a few pieces and you try to customize as much as you can. Casey really pushed back and encouraged everyone to really take it the extra mile and add in these industrial marketing examples. And I think that makes it all stronger. It also made it cohesive across the entire conference of everything people were talking about tied into each other. And right now, I think with AI, tactics are changing and there's a little bit of confusion over what's working and what's not working. And so having this consistent look across all the presentations, I think made sure to kind of smooth some of those rough edges that can happen.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So here's another one. So I guess for people who aren't as familiar with the Industrial Marketing Summit, last year our keynote speaker was Paul Reitzer, who's very famous in marketing circles
Right.
for his Marketing AI Institute and Smarter
Yeah.
X. And last year, would you say AI adoption for work on a daily basis was pretty low in this crowd, right, Lee?
Yeah, I remember Paul asking the question, how many of you are experimenting with AI or using generative AI in your day to day? And I would guess maybe 10% of the audience raised their hand. And this year, our keynote speaker was Rand Fishkin from Spark Turo, and he asked the same question. It was 80% of the room raised their hand. So definitely AI adoption has dramatically increased in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
No surprise.
it seems like everybody's adding it to their daily workflow, not just something they experiment with on the side. What about use of custom GPTs or gems and agents? What was your impression of that talking to people?
I think fewer people had experience building custom GPTs or gems or agents. And so Dale Bertrand gave a wonderful workshop where in a 2-hour session, he was able to help folks in the workshop get up and running and building some custom GPTs, and just what was shared in the audience about different ways that people were going to go back and take this to their team. A couple of people even came up with ideas for agents, just the collaboration at the table. For a lot of our attendees, they're a one-person marketing team or very small marketing team. And I think the value is just being able to brainstorm with other people on ideas, learn from them, see how they're using it. So I think that part was really insightful. So I feel like definitely people left with ideas for custom GPTs and agents, which is great.
Yeah, even in his closing keynote that he kept sharing prompts. We'd actually yank him off the stage. Eventually, we're like, Dale, the conference is over. People need to go catch their flights. And he was like, and here's another prompt, and here's another one. It was awesome.
He is so passionate and so giving on this topic, and I definitely encourage everybody to go check him out.
Yeah.
Fire and Spark, Dale Bertrand, fantastic.
Well, you mentioned Rand, so let's talk about his keynote. There were a couple of things that stuck out. One of them to me was the idea that, oh, we're all going to run and put our brands on rented land. And then it was like, no, rented land is bad. We need to build up our websites and be our own publishers. And now with generative AI, we're back to rented land again.
Right. And I think that's so interesting. What's also interesting, because I know we've been seeing this ourselves and noticing it happening to some of our clients, not all, but Rand really pulled out the data showing that web sessions across the board are trending down year over year, significantly down. However, revenue for companies is trending up. And so leading into this attribution is getting less reliable. So we had our playbook, our inbound marketing playbook. You write content, people find your blog post, they get to your website, they go through the buyer's journey, they get to a white paper or something, they fill out a form, and you can attribute exactly where that lead came from. But now, we want to expose content to AI tools. And so we're ungating a lot of content, which last year was a really controversial topic. And this year, most folks are like, hey, yeah, we're ungating our content. So there's not a way to attribute that lead, which is scary for marketers, scary for our sales teams who feel like I've got to know where my leads are coming from. But we're seeing that trend down. But just because the trend down in sessions, the revenue's up. So that's the good news. It's just harder to tell where it's coming from. So rented land is where people are finding you. So it definitely was a call to action to, get on LinkedIn, where also we were talking about people follow people and not brands. So the thought leadership posts from leaders in your company are outperforming anything you can do on your brand page. So making sure you're focusing there. And then I'm probably jumping ahead, but Morgan gave a great PR workshop on how to build results in a 30-day PR campaign. And PR is another way, just because you're getting that earned results back to your website from putting out news releases, getting those picked up on the wire, pitching those to relevant media in your area. So just, an expansion of activities, I think, beyond what we've been doing over the last couple of years, largely because of AI.
Yeah, Morgan made a solid case for why to invest in PR, and then also taught everyone how to run this PR campaign in 30 days. And I talked to multiple people who said, I never studied PR in college. I haven't done PR since. It seemed so unapproachable to me until that workshop. And they were so appreciative. I think one person even said, just that one workshop was worth the whole price of them attending. So I think Morgan really hit on to something with that one.
I think she did. And we've got some free resources on our website. So we've got a news release template. So if you haven't done PR in a decade or ever, there's a template there to kind of step you through how to do it, some tips. And then, it's not just the news release, there's the follow-up. You got to find your publications that are right for your target audience. You got to follow up there, and you also need to have a lead gen component too, and a great web page to send people to. So it's more than just news releases. It's this bigger push, but she definitely made it seem approachable of how you can easily set this up and see success in 30 days. Yeah. And that's something you can show attribution from. So if you really are pushed with your team of, I've got to know where this is coming from, PR is a great way to be able to show that right now.
Well, another, and I can't remember if it was Rand or who it was, there was some like clickbaity kind of talk, if you will, on content marketing is dead. And the idea was it's not really dead, but how we approach content marketing has really changed to be effective now. So unpack that for me, Lee.
Yeah, I feel like, years ago it was like we need to produce, one new blog post every week. We were just creating a lot of content so you could get found in search and drive people to your website. But now with, AI answer engines, you are already getting those answers served up. So that's not driving traffic to your website anymore. A lot of people have too much content on their website and some things that are really out of date that really could be hurting you. And so one thing that we heard is, if you go back and do a content audit of your website and look at all these blog posts, if you're cutting 60 posts out of 500, you maybe need to cut 100, like really cut back, make sure you're getting rid of that outdated, mediocre kind of 101 type content, if you will, and find those longer tail niche topics that you alone can talk about and that you are very differentiated in against your competitors, and make sure you write that content, or if you already have it, update it.
I talked to a business owner who over lunch that was terrified of the idea of cutting content, right? Because for years, right, it's just such a change. And I was telling him this story, Lee, I was bragging on you actually about how, I believe it was 3 or 4 years ago, when we embarked on this, we had these blog posts that were trending really well, but they were really generic, like B2B marketing plan, right? And they weren't at all focused on our target market. And what did we cut? 80% of our
about 80% of our blogs, which was like because we spent so much blood, sweat, and tears writing all of that content.
Yeah.
But it is, you have to keep it fresh. It's not just, it's a lot of those blog posts weren't evergreen. Some were, and there were some that were still really high performing, still really focused. And those we continue to update today, but just blogging for blogging's sake.
Yeah. No. And then along with that, you ushered in, okay, Wendy, I know you want to see, as the business owner, these web visits being high, but we can expect web visits are going down, but the right people are coming, right? So fewer visits, more qualified people. This is a leap of faith, like have faith in this process. So if anybody doubts if marketing agencies, or at least True Marketing, we try things out on ourselves first to play out strategies, but it was a beautiful thing. But there was a lot of talk of that too this week about that not being a good metric, web visits and volume and
right. Sessions being down, but conversions being up. And so I think for all of us, it's never really been a quality game. It's been a quantity game. And so seeing the traffic go down, but the conversions go higher, seeing more people complete contact us forms. It used to be that wasn't, contact us would have been our third or fourth highest performing lead generating piece because we had a lot of content in there. But as we're ungating content, you're seeing the contact us come up because they're much more educated through their buyer's journey, even before they come to our website, even though we can't see it. I mean, you and I are doing sales. We can see that people that we're talking to are more qualified. So it's all still working. It's just harder to put your finger on how it's happening.
Attribution, and to have a marketing strategy that's tied just to what you can measure is not a sound strategy, right?
That's right.
You need to do the
That's
right
right.
things.
Yep.
So it's sometimes hard explaining that to technical business owners, isn't it?
It is. We had just gotten everybody to understand how inbound worked. And right when we had crossed the chasm of everybody understood that, then AI came along and boo, now we're re-educating.
It's so true.
Relearning.
Well, what are some of the other quotes or things that you heard?
One thing I really did like, and forgive me, I'm forgetting who said this, but removing friction. There was a lot of discussion about removing friction. Part of ungating content was part of that. But I liked, maybe it was Rand, who basically said, is an unattributed content, somebody who's not ready for you yet, is it okay if they come to your website, look at your content and don't convert because they weren't ready, versus somebody who comes to your website and converts and isn't the right fit? Yeah. And so it's like they may not buy from you now, but they may buy from you in the future. Maybe not at their current company. Maybe they don't have budget. Maybe it's not the right fit for this company, but they go on to the next company. They already know you. They're educated. They're going to come back and find you. So none of us like to hear the delay. Like, what do you mean they're not ready today? But I think that's still educating people through their journey, and removing friction is a key thing to do.
Yeah. And I believe it was in John Greeley's session from Nauvoo where he talked about marketers sometimes have a conflated view of how we influence this buying process in this 18 months between the first time they hit our website and when they actually want to purchase, when really there's all these external factors that we can't control that have nothing to do with us. So not to say there isn't a place for being top of mind, but it kind of goes into that. Do we have to grab that lead, when they're not at all ready,
right.
Moving away from being so leads focused.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Another thing that was great, one of our sponsors, Wistia, gave a great session with a lot of new research on how people are consuming video, the different types of video that are out right now, how they're performing. So a lot of thought leadership video, a lot of webinars, and webinars is another area that's performing really well right now, can be lead generating. And then once you have this webinar, we cut it up into a lot of different pieces that repurpose and get used as video shorts, or they go up on LinkedIn. You can use them on your website. So lots of great research stats from Wistia. So go check them out if you're trying to make the hard sell inside your company to get more resources for video. They also shared some great tips for pulling together a video kit to take to events with you, with some great product tips, microphones, cameras, tripods, things like that I thought was really helpful. So I know trade show season's about to kick off into full swing. And so if you're trying to shoot some videos at those events, maybe go check that out.
Oh, that's good. Let's see, what else? Here's another concept that stuck with me is the role of your website has changed. So based on generative search and communities and all the ways in which buyers are getting information off property, if you will, when they come to property, they're deeper in the funnel. So our content strategy needs to change. And then that led into a conversation about AI-driven chat and how the technology's really changed over the years. A decade ago, we tried out, I won't say the company name, but it was one of the more popular chat bots. And you had to do these if-then statements and program things, and it never worked. It was ridiculous. So to see what we plugged in Nauvoo, which was one of our IMS sponsors also. So you can see that on the True website in action, but it's really cool that it uses your own content to answer questions. And now you're taking friction out because you're not expecting someone to go through that, the navigation and all that good stuff.
Yes. And you get such great insight. Like since we've been using Nauvoo, like every Monday I go in, you can log into the panel, admin panel, and kind of look behind the curtain, if you will, and look at what questions people have been asking, look at the answer that was served up. And in some cases I'm like, ooh, that's not the answer that I'm expecting or wanting right now. And so that's a good tip to go in and do that content audit that we were discussing. Yeah. Pull off old content, update new content, but really great and super valuable to use that tool. Not only does it remove friction, like you said, for people who are coming to your website to find answers, it's also a helpful tool that you can use internally as well. And even though you can't attribute some of these things, being able to see these conversations and answers, questions and answers that people are coming to, it's really helpful to know what content is most helpful and what the pain points of those viewers is. So
Yeah,
it's great.
that is. Did you make the session on teaching an old dog new tricks?
I did not make that one, no, but I heard that was so fun.
Luke presented that. This session to me embodies the practical side that so as event programmers, right, we want to make sure that we're teaching the bleeding edge strategic moves that you need to make. And we just covered a whole bunch of them. But then we want to make sure there's also just practical sessions like how to host a better webinar. And this one was how to work with sales and turn them into marketers. And so Luke gave just some really practical advice. I mean, things like running contests on LinkedIn and, having points associated with commenting or posting and having prizes, monetary or otherwise associated with it, and just how it worked. And he showed us his different salespeople and which ones thrived and why. And it was a great presentation.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch that one when it comes out on demand. I'm going to check that one out. Opposite that session, I was at Emily Ting's session. She gave a great session on building a distributor loyalty benefits program that her sales team was all happy with. And so she just kind of gave us a case study and stepped through how her company got sales and marketing alignment and were able to grow the program 8% year over year, how they tied it in. They're a Japanese company. They tied it into Japanese New Year. So the gifts that they were giving their top tier were these surprise bags with all these cool items in them. So they really leaned into that. And that really extended the amount of time that their sales team got on site when they came with those bags. It was a 1-hour conversation, but people got so excited about what was in the bag, asked them to stay 2 or 3 hours. So really just some low-hanging fruit ideas. If you're working in a company, you work with a lot of distributors, kind of good ideas for refreshing or creating a distributor loyalty program if you don't have one.
Nice. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't quickly mention my session with CJ from Global Spec. We provided a sneak peek of our upcoming research, the 2026 State of Marketing to Engineers report. And that report will release at the end of this month. So I don't want to say too much about it. We'll be presenting it in a webinar format along with Elector, Udo from Elector, our European counterpart for this. So we'll put a link to that webinar in the notes and you guys can register and hear the research firsthand. But we have some great new questions about generative search behavior and paid search behavior that we've never asked before that are pretty interesting.
That's always an exciting time of year. Is that March 28th? Am I getting the date right for
the
webinar?
I think so, but don't quote me. We'll put in the notes. We will. Absolutely. Well, we also had some fun, right? So we moved IMS this year to a new home in North Austin, the Renaissance Hotel. It was a beautiful place, had this gorgeous atrium, lots of natural light. And we had a dedicated expo area just off of the main ballroom. And as part of our event planning this year, we decided to have an expo party. So I know that was one of your favorite things of the week. So talk to me about the party, Lee.
Yeah. And I got lots of great feedback from our sponsors as well. They were like, before the expo happy hour, like we were going to be very, pleased with our experience here. And they were like, after the expo hour, we're like, how can we come back next year? So what we did this year is we gave the drink tickets to each of the sponsor booths. And so attendees kind of went around and it encouraged conversation between attendees and the sponsors. And that's how you got your drink tickets. Everybody went. But we had conversations. Some people were like, I don't even want a drink ticket. I just want to, talk to you guys and learn a little bit more about what you do. So I think it really created a lot of excitement, a lot of traffic, a lot of energy. We had some great photo ops that were going on as well. And people were buying cowboy hats. I think you had 3 hat changes yourself and boots. And we really leaned into the Texas theme and the Renaissance was a great backdrop for all of that. So the expo hour was just fantastic.
Yeah. If you look at the event hashtag online or just look at Industrial Marketing Summit, you'll see pictures with live Longhorns, pictures with Austin signs. I mean, like there's so many photo ops.
Barbecue. I think there were everybody. I ate so much barbecue. We had our conference party out at County Line on the Lake where the Longhorn was. We had that cornhole tournament. That was phenomenal. CJ, shout out to CJ from Global Spec and his teammate because they won the cornhole tournament. So it's just such great energy all week. Yeah. And we got lucky on the weather too. Really beautiful weather. So many people said I left home today and there were icicles hanging off my roof, and now I'm here and it was 80 degrees and breezy. So we were glad we could give a winter reprieve to our friends from the Midwest and the Northeast.
Yes. And this year, I think I saw more people wearing cowboy boots than ever at the show. So that was fun to just see people embracing the whole Texas thing. That was trending, wearing your business suit with your boots. Well, good. Well, for people listening that missed out, I'm so sorry, but good news for you that we have digital passes on sale. So you can go to the industrialmarketingsummit.com to get more information on how you can grab a digital pass. That's the video recordings and the slides that you'll get with that. It's not the same as being there in person and being with your people, but at least you'll get a taste for it and of course learn from all the material. There's a lot there. Let's see. Anything else, Lee, that you can think of that we missed?
I think we hit on all of it. I definitely, like I said, because we had concurrent sessions going on, you only got to attend half of them. So even if you were there, I know people who attended are really excited to see the other half of the sessions they didn't get to see. So just a lot to unpack. I know I'm still going to be unpacking and remembering things all throughout the week, but
and really literally in my office, at least unpacking, because I still have
literally unpacking, right?
Mugs and buttons and all kinds of swag from the event. Well, good. Well, we as an organizing team, along with Gorilla 76, will be meeting to look at all the survey results. We're in the final steps of solidifying our dates for 2027. So a little hint to you, maybe block last week of February on your calendars, February 2027, back in Austin. And we will be doing a call for presenters and sponsors here in probably around the May timeframe. We're also going to be introducing the Industrial Marketing Summit Awards. So that'll be a new thing we're adding to the program next year. So I'm super excited about that.
I love seeing that we're kind of growing the conference in year 4 and adding in the awards. I know that's something that people had kind of been wanting and asking for the last couple of years. So that's going to be great.
Yeah. So hit us up on our website, subscribe to our mailing list, and that way you get all those emails. It's probably the best way. And of course, everyone's really active on LinkedIn as well. So, well, Lee, thank you for stopping by today and just sharing your experience at IMS. And if people want to contact you, what's the best way they can do that?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Lee Lambert Chapman.
And it's Lee, L-E-E.
Lee, that's right.
Yes. All right. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our e-newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.